Hello everyone, this is Prince and welcome to the channel Prince Verse. So today's session is about introduction to CSS, which is known as cascading style sheets. Now let's look onto our today's agenda. First we will learn about the CSS syntax, then the different types of CSS properties, and at last we will learn how to combine HTML with CSS. Now let's understand it step by step. So as you know, in early videos we have developed the static website in which we wrote the main heading element, paragraph and button element as like you see here. But all of those we wrote were normally on the left side, which we need to align these elements togetherly in the center. So whatever we wrote on the left side, we have to bring it to the center. Okay, and this respective alignment is set as styling of the elements through CSS. And before knowing this, let's talk more about CSS. CSS is cascading style sheets. So first what we do is we create a CSS file, and in this file we write the multiple rule sets. And let's know what is this rule set. The CSS syntax is called as rule set in the CSS file. So as you can see here, the syntax of CSS, or we can say the CSS rule set, each one of rule sets start with selector. Then we open the flower brace, and after writing the condition in it, we close the flower brace. Okay, so inside this flower brace, we write different or multiple rules. So how we should write the rules here? First we gonna write property, then colon, then we write value of that property, and for closing it we write semicolon. Likewise, for next rule, property number 2, we will write then colon, and then value number 2, then next the semicolon. So in this way we need to write the rules inside the opening and closing flower braces. So this was the CSS syntax. Now let's see about the selector. So for writing CSS rule set, firstly we need to decide a suitable name for the selector and then use it. Like as we want to bring all of that written elements in the center. So let's talk a selector name as so let's take a selector name as H center, H hyphen center. Okay, so in this we have written the name H hyphen center as selector. But if you cleanly observe, there is a dot before selector name, and this is what the syntax means. It means according to the rules of CSS, we need to write dot before the selector name, and this is just a rule, a syntax. You need to accept it as it is. So here, to center the element, after we write the selector, then inside the flower braces we write the property as text align, then colon, then we write center as its value, and then for closing we write semicolon. So here the text align is a property and center is its value, and both of these are special properties and values respectively, only to align the elements particularly. Instead of this, we cannot write wrongly like some other words. Now let's write and apply it in our static website. Here in early videos we have created the HTML CSS files. Now let's connect them togetherly by writing this code. Okay, done. Now we write our rule set here in the CSS. Firstly, the selector as dot h dash center, then opening flower brace, and after clicking space we get an end flower brace here. Then inside this we write the text align as a property, then colon, and now where we want to align this, we want to align this in center, so we write center as a value and then semicolon for closing it. Now this is our CSS rule set, but we want to combine it with our HTML code elements which we had wrote in our previous sessions. So how we can achieve it? The next step would be combining the HTML with CSS. So we combine them using attribute, and this attribute is a new term that provides any additional information to HTML element. Now how to give this additional information by attribute? Let's see. This is the syntax which we talked before of any HTML element. The syntax is to write start tag, content and then end tag. And here to give additional information, we need to update this syntax. So here is an updated syntax of HTML attribute, where you observe that in the start tag there is a attribute name, then equals to the value in the double quotation, and then further the same syntax will be applied. Let's now apply and see in each element. So here let's take main heading tourism, and this is the heading element syntax. And for adding CSS rule set, here we write the attribute, and here we use the class as the attribute name, and further the attribute value should be h dash center as what we written in the CSS selector. But don't confuse in writing about dot h dash center. Only you have to write h dash center, not the dot, as the attribute value, because excluding dot h dash center itself is the name of the selector. Okay, now let's check it out. Here in the main heading element, I am writing class as attribute name, then equals to, then in double quotation I write the attribute value as h dash center, and let's see the output. Okay, that's done. So see how simple it is to write. Okay, now likewise also I wanna move paragraph and button elements to the center. So let's do it. See, we're done. But isn't it so time wasting? I mean, haven't you feel that it's a repetitive task? Like I want to move all the elements by writing this attribute code one by one. To resolve this problem, we can also write and apply this attribute code at once. So let's see how we can do this. For writing code all at once, we need to group all the elements in one place, which is called to be wrapping. And how we can wrap all the elements in place? We can do this by using container element. That means we are grouping all the elements at once in a container element. It is just like moving all the boxes at once in a cargo vehicle from one place to other, instead of moving boxes one by one. Where the cargo vehicle is a container and all the boxes are the HTML elements. Now let's see what is this container element and its syntax. So as you observe here, we use div, div as the container element. And how do we write it? We write first start tag div in the angular braces, and further we write other elements like whatever it is, like heading element, paragraph or button element, etc, etc. So all of that particular HTML elements need to combine should come under the content, and then at last we write end tag as /div. Now let's write and check it. As we are combining it, right now, so we need to remove this first. And here I write start tag div, then automatically the end tag comes. Okay, now the last step is to moving all the elements togetherly in center by using div. So for this we write attribute code in the start tag of div, that is class equals to, then in the double quotation we write h dash center as its value. Okay, that's it. And here is the output. So see how simple it is to align the elements in the center. So that's what all for today's session. Now you can revise by your own by seeing these takeaways.
अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छा लगा और आपको भी ये सब समझना है तो जुड़े रहिएगा हमारे साथ। थैंक यू।